Jayson Tatum of the Celtics is viewed, Game 5 tonight. Tonight is viewed, it's the game, right? Like the Game 5 winner. Oh, boy, here we go, Game 5. Oh, boy. Winner of this wins the whole series. I picked the Warriors in 6. But Jayson Tatum does prove there's a big gap between stars and superstars. Stars in the NBA are all-stars, usually the best, most talented player on the team. They're going to average over 20 points a game. NBA's got, 20 of those guys at any one time. NBA's always had stars. Superstar is different. Superstar is iconic. Non-sports fans know who they are. They're culture setters. Jayson Tatum is not a culture setter for the Celtics. Marcus Smart, you could argue, is the culture setter. Superstars have their own brand. And what you figure out about superstars, no matter how good the other team's defense is, they get theirs. There is only one superstar in this series, and it's Steph Curry. We've seen now Luka, a star, and Jayson Tatum, a star, discombobulated to a large degree by the Warriors defense, which is not the best in the league. Luka's efficiency plummeted. He became a huge defensive liability, and Tatum has yet to have a great game in this series. Meanwhile, the Celtics defense is viewed as the best in a decade, and Steph is eating it alive. That's what Jordan did against Utah. I mean, it was harder, but he got his. MJ, LeBron, Magic, Kareem, Steph, the quality of your defense doesn't really change their game. In fact, Steph's scoring average so far in the series, his scoring average is higher than Jayson Tatum's field goal percentage. That's the difference. I said before the series, I thought Boston could outplay the Warriors 5 games in this series and yet lose the series in 6. And I think Boston will outplay the Warriors tonight. That's no guarantee they'll win. There's more urgency for Boston. They will play a great basketball game tonight. I am convinced of that. But they will shrink potentially because that's what they do, and that's kind of what their leader's done. If you watch the Warriors, they play loose and confident, even though many of their best players are past their prime. That's the influence of Steph. Even though all the Celtics' best players are in their prime, they get tight and have doubt. That's because Jayson Tatum has verbalized that on more than one occasion. When you watch Jayson Tatum, and I love him, I think he's a great player, but Boston was a bad clutch team. Look it up. They were one of the bottom 3 clutch teams. They have stats for that in the NBA. And that speaks to Jayson Tatum. He shrinks. He verbalizes it. He has doubt. And when you send it out there, opposing players see it, and they're going to work hard to pull that doubt out of you. Steph never gives you any inkling that he lacks confidence. So in the biggest spots, where do you go to stop him? Tatum's starting to feel like Andrew Wiggins. Really, really talented. You can't depend on him. You're not going to depend on him in the finals. I think Jayson Tatum is going to be a star for the next 10 years. I highly doubt he's a superstar. Game 5 tonight. I think Boston's going to play great. I think they'll have a tremendous first half. They need to play great in the first half because the Warriors tend to crush in the third quarter. But I think it's a heck of a game. Not shocked if Boston wins. But I think we've seen a clear gap between what a superstar is and what a star is. Steph and Tatum. All right, I know it's a cliche, right? You talk about this all the time. We talk about the Mount Rushmore of blank, blank, blank. You can talk about it in tech. You can talk about it in finance. You can talk about it in politics. The Mount Rushmore, the 4 greatest. And in the NBA, I don't think there's a big argument by reasonable people of what the Mount Rushmore is. I think Michael's on it. I think Magic's on it. I think LeBron's on it, and Kareem. Now, there's 3 great centers all time. Kareem, Russell, and Wilt. So Kareem, you got winning, titles, awards, and points. Russell, you got titles. Wilt, outdueled in both those categories, so he doesn't make it for me. So Michael, Magic, LeBron, and then Kareem. But what if there was a mountain range just down the road, Mount Herdmore, or the NBA's Mount Rush, a little less than more? I'd make the argument Steph wins these finals, he's on it. It would be Bill Russell, Larry Bird, Kobe. Kobe wasn't quite MJ. Bird's not quite LeBron. But when Bird came into the league, go back and read the Sports Illustrated articles. They talked about him like they talked about LeBron. He's a forward. How does he shoot and pass like this? I think Steph would make it. Leadership, culture setter, confidence. Win before KD, win with KD, win after KD. I don't get the critics of Steph Curry. I don't get it. It's almost like for years and years, Tom Brady was crushing in New England. And there was this divide. You know, is it more Belichick or it's more Brady? And that was a fun debate. And you could take either side. But you started hearing even media people say this. Well, Tom's a system quarterback. Whoa, time out. We can argue who's more valuable. I mean, it was like when in L.A., was it Shaq or was it Kobe? That's a good debate. I mean, the Lakers eventually decided Kobe will keep him, Shaq will move him. But that was a good, healthy debate. And Brady and Belichick was a good, healthy, fun sports debate. But once you went to, Tom's a system quarterback. It's like, okay, even Joy has a rule in the show. You can't compare anything to Tom. Like, he's not a system quarterback. Let's stop with that. And I get that way with Steph. If you talk on the Mount Rushmore, the four people that make it, Michael Jordan had massive influence beyond the game with style. He made the game global. LeBron, massive influence in mobility. Magic, literally made it cool to pass. Kareem created the greatest single shot. So we have said beyond being great, there has to be an impact and an influence in your game. Look at Steph, the greatest shooter ever. He literally changed AAU, high school, college, and pro basketball. Michael didn't even do that. The impact, the ability to play with stars, alongside stars, behind stars. If there's a Mount Rush a little less, I would put Steph there now. I mean, you could argue, Dr. J, between his ABA and his NBA. Certainly, he was the first star I think a lot of us in my age bracket fell in love with. The style, the slam dunks. There's something there for Dr. J. But the critics of Steph, I'll just never get. The ability to score. Think about basketball. If you're at the Y and you're picking guys, and you've seen the guys play for an hour as you waited your turn to get your team out there, and you can select guys, don't you go with the best scorer? It's not like you're like, I like the best ball handler. I like the best defender. I like the best on-ball defender. You're always like, yeah, that guy can score. That's who you pick. Steph's the best shooter in league history. That feels like, to me, there's just a mountain range just down the road. You went to Mount Rushmore first, and then you told your kids, well, there's a second one, and it's like, maybe it's not Disneyland, but it's better than Six Flags. It's very close to Disneyland. You'd stop off, right? So I think that's what we're looking at with Steph Curry. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.